I'm glad that we.
Everybody has to just hit okay. I'm sorry. And then I'd love to have you say what you were saying. So.
Let me see. I need my glasses for a moment to see what in the world I have to say or do that. Okay. What I was just saying is very, very simple and important. So it's good that we have it in the video. Okay. So what I was saying is that I know mostly you already know this, but I keep repeating over and over the same things because there are different degrees of knowing this, you know, what we're talking about. And I was saying that just about all of you already are mastering the perception that the movements are seamless. And the movements are seamless because we are getting all clear into the interconnections between the spheres, the arcs, and the diamonds, and the path of balance, and all the different names that we have created to describe the constant continuity of the metrics and the tree and so forth, all in seamless movement. Then what I'll just say is that you know now the spheres, you know the path, you know the connections, you know everything about it. And I think that I know that you are experienced that, but I don't know into what degree, and that's the reason I say it to you, that the whole practice, the whole technology merges into the natural feeling of yourself as a constant expression of energy that never gets broken inside of your own sensation. And then if it is broken inside of your sensation, it's okay because you keep getting it back, right? Because of the connection, the sphere, the path, you get to all the form to get it back if you lose it. But you're getting more and more now to the connection that you don't lose the continuity of the form of the movement, which reflects the continuity of your continual unification of energy inside of your own sensation. So this is a little bit tricky because once you get to be inside of your own sensation more and more and more, and you are all the time, then the movement disappears, so to speak. You know, that you're using all the spheres, the diamonds, the path, the names, the connections, the principles, all of it is the structural formation from which your mind comes into itself, connects with the energy, and united via the biomechanical movement with the moment itself. And those three things merge into the natural sensation of yourself. So then you are continuously inside of your own sense of unity, if you may. But it's important to understand that it's not just your own sense of unity. Once you interconnect inside of those three aspects, the spatial, the energetic, and the mechanical, you are interconnected with everything. Because whatever you consider to be inside, which is what we're talking about now, the continual sensation, and the outside are always one. It always has been one, but now it becomes one in the natural understanding, feeling, and experience of yourself. So you are inside of your own sense of unity.
And I like that because it's I'm beginning to being able to connect with the pathways rather than creating something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so there's much more. I mean, I used to get senses of of being moved by by the spheres and but now it's more like I'm actually connecting with that understanding in a different, constant way. I don't know if it's exactly the movement or not, but it feels much more like whole body connection rather than I'm doing my arms or
Oh, yeah. Or
yeah,
that you're doing a movement,
we're doing a movement.
around a mandala, in a mandala, around the crown. All those are forms from which define the formation of the utilization of the 6 directions of a space. You know, like the other mandala is the right and left in the front and back. The lateral mandala is front and back in relation to right and left. The around the crown and above the crown are the diagonals that interconnect us right and left and front and back. It's a constant form of unification of all possibilities of movements inside of the 6 directions of a space. And you said all possibilities of movement, because all possibilities of movement inside of the 6 directions of a space is the activation of all the ventricles of the brain, from which then the brain becomes the same as your awareness of a space, awareness of the energy, and the experience of unity and the physical relationship of your skeleton and your body and muscles. So it becomes a physical phenomena from which you become the one, from which then what you call inner and what you call outer becomes one in your experience. And then it will show up and that will show up in many different recognitions in your mind. You know, it will just be pleasurable. It will take you to degrees of ecstasy if you are singless without breaking the energy, or it will take you into a greater understandings of things within your mind that before were ideas or fleeting moments that now become a field of understanding that is always existing. It's always present, and you know all things inside of that field. Yeah. And that sounds a little bit esoteric, but it's not. It's just that that's the way the unity reflects itself inside of wholeness. So anyway, so how was that? What I'm saying, maybe just synchronize it all together right now into what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you're beginning to experience, and I'm sure that your experience, I shouldn't use the word beginnings because I don't know to what degree you are acknowledge, and to what degree are you knowing this inside of your own experience. That's relative. You can't generalize because every single human being has its own interpretation of themselves and the world and everything. But there is a moment in which there is a dialogue that you can begin a dialogue when someone is in the study. Are you beginning to feel that the energy field is totally continual? Are you beginning to feel that the movements that you are doing is actually the sensation of unity of your own self? It's not just only the movements, you know, and then the possibility you sense in yourself or not, you know. So all those things becomes more and more and more redefined in your consciousness as knowledge of comprehension of unity within yourself, and that's it. Then you're in it. Yeah. There's no other place that you
like
need to.
Is that the personality the personality is always going to be there, but the personality kind of drifts away, and
the personality may be, and then you are the only ones who could know that. The personality may be a genetical inheritance of your human design. Mm-hmm. But along with the genetical interpretation of your genetical DNA of your human design, it is you who always existed as a unitary, brilliant star, if you wanted to put it in a light. So then when we say that a lot of the personality falls away, it's because those are the things that we have inherited inside of the traditional consciousness. Because everybody, just about most of us inside of the traditional consciousness, were behaving, thinking, feeling in certain ways that were direct reflection of the collective consciousness. There never were direct reflections of our own sense of self. Yeah. But we didn't know. Right. So then we associated that with our personality. And in the past, it was associated with the idea of the ego. which was the same as a personality inside of that field.
Mhm.
But then the personality disappears because you have access to the actual ray of light that you are. And that is not, it does have a personality because it's nobody like you, but it will never be a personality that it is innocently reflecting the different interpretations that we had in the collective consciousness. You become the master of your own natural sense of self. So that's the reason that you will always be in love, you're always being well, you're always do good, you're always in unity. Not because you're a good person or anything like that. It's just that is who you are inside of the freedom from the collective projection from which most of us have suffered enormously through the history of our evolution. That it was necessary inside of the story in order to have all the different possibilities of interpretations. So then when we become united as we are now, we understand every single being and we have no judgment because we understand why they're behaving that way, why they feel that way, why they think that way. So there is no judgment, not because you said, oh no, I'm not going to think about anything or see everything. It's that you understand how it came into being through the collective interpretation of our human consciousness.
Thank you.
And that's what happens. So, but they're all genetical traits that once they will become clear are extraordinarily important because the genetical traits come inside of a system that carry the memory of our health as well. So, you know, there was a time, like, I don't know if you know that maybe 4 or 5 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago, there was a moment in which there was in the consciousness a recognition that if you understand the genetical code of the person, you can erase from the genetical code the propensity of certain sickness. Yeah, do you remember? I don't, it has a name.
Well, the genome, the human genome.
Yeah, something like that. It has a specific name, and I thought that it will become very, very. When I heard it in Pittsburgh 10 years ago, something. I said, "Oh, fantastic! That means that we are getting close to understand that a lot of the things that we get to acquire are really memories that came into being through the development of our genetical code, individually through the ancestry." And they all have their own formation inside of the particular interpretation in which consciousness was operating at that particular time. So the consciousness, as it was evolving, was developing and experiencing all those things, but they were not really part of the total consciousness. It was a part of the evolutionary consciousness. And then the body formed itself through every single instant in which the being existed. Yeah, it existed. And when another being came into being, it meant that a unity between a male and female, or whatever it could give birth to a child, that became renewed inside of the connection to the creation. And it carried the history of the entire history of the mother and the father, and therefore the whole genetics, but also it already came with the original interpretation of its own wholeness, always. So it never was bound by the karma of the genetical code and reality. Yeah. So anyway, that's what happened.
Well,
so
now, I feel like there's like restorative every time, like I'm now like letting go of the idea that things have to be the way they were. So everything that I'm experiencing now is like this restorative kind of reset for me. You know, and so I keep on asking to have my mind released and to just being able to move into the whole mind, and it really, really helps a lot.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the whole mind of your being, it doesn't have any of that. It's like the self. When we said that the self is individualistically the light of the world, because it was created as an individual creation, you know, just like we said that any speck of snow, you know, the crystal is like no other. Yeah, like any leaf. Everything is individualistically whole, but inside of the collective, everything got created like a bigger soup, because we were all reacting to many things simultaneously without not really sometimes having full access to the totality of ourselves that doesn't have a reaction. It only has a comprehension of everything, because it understands all things. So anyway, that's what happens. So the reason that the DNA is beginning to become more and more healthy is because as the mind becomes more and more connected, the connection of the mind dismisses or erases those particular formations that they were created innocently inside of a confused interpretation of consciousness. And it's difficult to talk about that because it sounds like a judgment, but the confusion interpretation of consciousness, where what we were created inside of the evolutionary state, never inside of the totality of the whole, having access momentarily to things of the whole, but never participating inside of the whole field. So we were all creating this sort of a madhouse, if you may, but at the same time, the madhouse was always searching for sanity, even when it was the most mad of all. But eventually, the madhouse, which nothing other is the perception, the awareness and perception that it could not match his whole let me see, the perception that it could not match his all content and context yet. And that was a global event. That wasn't, if you really have to describe the evolutionary state of our humanity, it's like we were all experiencing ourselves separated, knowing that we were united to everyone, and yet knowing that we were separated from everyone. So then we never got to the point until now, recently, that we know that we are inseparable from anyone. And so we are erasing that, because that particular understanding of being inseparable for everything got interpreted through the evolutionary state as a religious or philosophical or a spiritual form of transcendence. And it never was that. Even though that's the way that we evolved and we got to where we are. The natural sense of yourself is already the transcendence of that. It is already the spiritual fulfillment. It is already everything. So it is the actual nature of our natural sense of awareness. It's not innocently occupied in the most minute form, but by an altruistic idea of behavior. You know what I mean? Because all that was a way that we evolved toward the place of unity. In unity, altruistic ideas of behavior, they become immediately understood as being stories that we have created in our search to find our natural state, in which we are one with God then, because we are the mind that is united. It's not the mind that is trying to figure it out how you get together. Yeah, so that was it.
And it releases the cause and effect.
Exactly, because the cause and effect was the actual story. The cause and effect got created in the actual moment in which the tree of life inside of the old story got covered with the tree of good and evil, the duality. So that's what the path. And then in the way the ancient forefathers in the Indian philosophy created an idea of karma, that we were all bound by the karma that we came here to be able to really erase. And the karma never existed in the totality of itself. It was only the creation that came into being as a development of all the possibilities of separations that will bring us back into all the possibilities of unity. Yes, so because since it is not subject to an individual interpretation, the individual in us, inside of the whole, is the whole. It's not like, oh, I'm a part of it, but I don't know what the whole is. It's the whole thing is one. Right. Yeah. So it is a difficult thing to talk about it, because in the story of our natural evolutionary mind, it's difficult to comprehend how each of us completely be individual and be one within the natural nature of our beings. Because when the mind is not united yet, it becomes like a conceptual, it becomes concepts or ideas that then you instantaneously project it into the religious, the philosophical, or the spiritual, and you put it in a specific box in it. And it's helpful because you can put it in content, but it's not that. Ultimately, it's not that. And then as we become ourselves, we recognize that it never was that. And that is the moment that the mind uh, reconnects itself gradually and collectively inside of the mind to the whole spectrum of awareness. And then when the mind and the whole spectrum of awareness come into being, you for the first time, I for the first time, or we for the first time, are the human design, this beautiful human design called human, that have developed this extraordinary process to return itself home. And when it returned itself home, the humanity became crowned, like crowned, by the whole cosmic mind, which is the universal mind, the cosmic, the great intelligence, everything that we just have access to a certain degree now. But in reality, we also have access to the 100% right now through the divine. And that's important to understand, that you can get everything. That's what we call the divine. The divine is nothing other the completely natural awareness of the self inside of the cosmic existence, not bounded inside of the little world of the human mind, but inside of the totality of the mind from which we were created as the image and the likeness, and that's with that word of God, or the
Christian,
light. Yes, darling. I'm sorry. We have to.
so all of the things that you're saying to me shows that it's the movements in for ourselves that really facilitates all of those things that you said. I think that you can get it without the movements, but I think it would the movements make all the differences in the world because of connection, of continuity to all of the unity that we have in reality as our reality.
Yes.
So to me, the movements speak louder than anything to facilitate anyone to move, to listen or understand what's happening to them, because we have that knowledge now, which is fantastic. We have what's happening. You can have the movements.
Yes.
You can also have the knowledge that means what's happening in the movements. That's
Yeah, it would be impossible for us to talk about what we're talking about without the movements of unity and motion. For me,
right.
it's impossible because then it will be I will be lost innocently inside of the labyrinth of the mind. Because the mind is infinite. It's like a labyrinth, and it's very complex because the possibility of intellectual projection is infinite.
It's on its own, you could see how it'd be conceived as very, very intellectual. We have so much available, but when you have the movements, you begin it lessens it to one. Everything is one.
Yes,
so that gets
absolutely.
very simple, and you begin to experience that in the continuity of what you're just talking about, the unity into one, and able to and we're able to do it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm doing it. Yeah.
No, you are. You're comprehending it. You're saying
Yeah,
it.
I'm
I-
comprehending it. Yes, I see exactly what's happening to it. And it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's unbelievable.
yeah,
Really.
comprehension. Yeah,
It's that
it's divine.
phenomenon you're talking about that's unbelievable. It is a
Yeah,
phenomenon.
yeah. But you understand why comprehension is extraordinarily important. Because comprehension is the only possibility that the mind can become cognitive of its own unity. And without the mind becoming cognitive of its own beauty, there is no bliss. There is no God. There is no heaven. There is nothing, because all there is just like, it will be like ET living in the planet with an empty, open mind, which it will be okay. But I don't think it is okay, because then what happens is that you have no way to relate to any of the things that exist within our consciousness of humanity, which is the planet. So it is important to make, the most important thing is to make peace, one, with the idea that understanding is a divine gift. And second, that what we call intellect is the attempts that we have created in time to be able to understand the greater mind that always suspect to be the intelligent from which we're designed. The intelligence, what we call God, is an intelligence. But we name it many things, we name it different gods, in that sense, because we were searching to find out what is the intelligence that created me. Yeah. And we get to the moment you can say a rose, a plant, a tree, and everything. It is a manifestation of a design that got created. It's impossible from not being coming into creation, exists if it was not created. So we were always trying to figure it out. Who was the creator? Well, at least that was for me. Who was the creator that created? I can say my father, but my father, after a while, I understood that it was my brother. I mean, in the human reality, you call it my father, but it was really my brother. Well, because it was another man like me, and my father was a little bit more hokey than I was as a child. As a child, I understood things that my father had no clue, and it was a very nice man and laughing and everything, but it wasn't. It didn't match my idea of what my father will be, not just for the perspective of human as a continuity of the genetics, but my father as being the creator of my own existence. Who created me? Carolina have appeared. So anyway, so that was when we get into it, we get in that the idea of God itself. You know what I mean? Your father, who created you? Yeah. So it's a lovely thing, because then you can love your family completely, because you can understand that your family is just such innocence of everything else like yourself. But the creator itself, which was the original designer, is what you're really coming into correspondence with it. And as you become correspondent with the original designer, you get to know all things, because there is the original designer is the mind that created everything, and there is 100% benign. It doesn't have any zero. So that's a wonderful thing, to be 100% benign. My God, amazing, Yeah, because then we can be. That's what heaven means: a place in your being in which you experience the physical world and creation and the natural presence of heaven. Because inside of that reality, everything is helping you, aiding you, assisting you, enlightening you, blessing you, directing you, connecting you, everything that was made originally in the design as the fulfillment of your own divine creation, yourself. That's it. Fantastic. It's a fantastic thing. But it's important to spend sometimes, if you can, to make peace with the mind. Because for many of us, we don't like the mind, because we recognize that the mind created a lot of stuff and you can see how it spiraled it. And so we became more emotional beings, which is a very beautiful thing. but we also understand that the emotion sometimes get overtaken by the way in which consciousness interprets reality. The emotions get overtaken by the way in which the mind interprets reality. So in reality, the three things were one always: mind, emotion, and reality itself, physical, were one. But the way that love can exist forever as love is through the intellectual, conceptual, conscious understanding of unity, from which then we, each of us, are no longer subject to the reactions that may disconnect us from the presence of love. You know, because every time that we react, we are not in the presence of love in some degree or another. You know what I mean? We are, oh, fear, all this, all that, all the story, all this, all this. The mind switches into like a switchboard. And every time that the mind switches into a switchboard, it's disconnected from it because innocently it's going to one aspect that it was a memory within ourselves, but it's not the whole field of love. So once you understand the whole field of love, it's the same as saying, I understand the whole field of conceptual mind and great intelligence. And that's the same as saying the conceptual mind, intelligence, and the love is actually nothing other than your immediate connection to the physical moment of life, our connection to the physical moment. And in the physical moment of life, we are in paradise, because that's what paradise means. We're always in paradise, and we will always be in paradise. But remember that in paradise, the tree of life got in the story got covered up with the story of having to really be everything to be divided and nothing to be united. And then from the other perspective, from the Darwinian, we were just like nature, in which we evolved from the amoeba and the animals, and we became more awakened. And each time that the brain went to another degree of connection and light, we became intelligence, and we became astronomers, and we became artists, and we became professors, and we became more present. So we developed this extraordinary faculty of the human being, that it can have such an extraordinary knowledge about everything. You know, so we finally completed the circle. And now each of us have access to everything. Yeah, everything is part of our being. Fantastic. All right, so let me see. Let's spend 1 minute or 2 minutes, and then we'll come back in it. So what I would like to do is to go one more time through the spirals, to make clear that we are completed with it a little bit. Yeah, that we can just leave it a little bit as it is, and then we'll decide it from then. We may do the standing part a little bit of the 0-point balance and the fountain, yeah, and all the different things. So anyway, we can be quiet for a second, or we can just, if you have any questions arise what I'm saying, just bring it forward. It's good for you to listen to the videos when you listen to me, because what I'm saying, it's a little bit foreign to the mind that we're coming from, even though what I'm saying is the actual mind that we're coming from. So it needs to hear it a few times, so the mind can really go to the depth of that comprehension. So then through the depth of that comprehension, realigns the ventricles, so that it becomes the sphere from which you more and more perceive everything. Yeah. So even if you just spend 5 minutes and just find out what that is, and then just say, what the fuck are you saying? No, what I mean, I'm sorry, I'm kidding you, but just to be with it, you know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So all right, everything is good. We lost a little bit the great Nancy. She's coming back in a second, and then we'll go for it. I'm going to move the chair back. And any questions? Anything that you discover about the spirals? This is our classes now. We cannot even classes. I think we should not even call classes. It's really our getting together is to be able to decipher every single possibility of interpretation that may taking you away from the complete experience of the natural state of unity of yourself. And we do it through the movements in here, but we can all do it through the consciousness. Yeah. Wonderful. I'm going to move the chair back, and then we go, and we find out where then Nancy went. Wonderful. Am I too far away? No.
No, I think you're good.
Yeah. I'm not in a complete screen, but it doesn't matter because
No, you're good. You're good.
if I go too far away, it's very difficult to be able to see you. And
Right.
if I go too close, you don't get to see me. The media was not perfect the way you see it.
We're doing great. It's great.
We're doing great in it. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. Carolina is wonderful.
Now we're all wearing black. It'll be perfect.
No, it's all right. We can start. So remember the last time when we went in a little bit, just remember that the beginning of the spirals are beginning when you go up from the delicate heart, and you get just before you get to the heart, between the heart and the throat is the first spiral. Is the beginning of the first spiral. So you never get to the suspended diamond, right? That you're clear about that. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And then the spiral, the upper part of the spiral and the second part of the spiral, always existing inside of the center of your heart, inside of you. You are not from the front doing the spirals. They are always existing inside of the center of your heart and inside of the 7 centers of yourself. Because in the spirals, you go all the way up to ground and all the way down to foundation, all the way up from the first part of the spiral, the foundation, the second part, in a very gentle way, because it's subtle in that sense, because you don't have a lot of movement to go. Okay, Nancy is arriving. Beautiful.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Lovely. So if we begin in 0 point, just we start in 0 point, and we're going to flow away to foundation, and then we go up, right? In order to start from the connection of energy. So we don't say, okay, now I'm going to do the spirals. You know what I mean? You're starting 0 point, and we'll go into it. So 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, and right now 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and the shoulder again. 1, 2, 3, 4 around the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, suspended horizon. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're starting the wrist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the last one. 2, 3, 4. And now it goes flowing away. Foundation and gently the outflowing wave, and then from the outflowing wave, we're going to come back to 0 point. We just spend a few seconds and then we go from there. Okay. How was that? It's good. Do you have any questions about it? I haven't been able to see you very much, but
Are we doing 3 of each or 4 of each? I got mixed up and missed some because I thought we were doing how many of each spiral are we doing?
3 of them.
I think it's
3. Oh, okay.
Yeah, 3 of them. 3, 3, 3. I think that's what they are, right?
Yeah.
And the 4?
Yeah, it's just the count changes to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where the 4 comes in.
Yeah, you have enough time.
Talking about the counts, I'm just talking about how many of each because I thought we were doing 4 of each. I didn't.
Oh, no, there are 3 of each.
So that's why I got confused in the middle a couple of times because I was
Oh, it's all right. It's all right.
another one, but you were on to the next. So,
It's okay. It's okay. We are clear that we have 4 of each. But let's one more time just to. How is it coming? How is it? How do you feel? The most difficult one is the one that is start from the back diagonal because you have to rotate the whole joint around to get you all the way to actually to heaven and then to start going back again into it. That's the most difficult one because it is the range of motion. Is the range of motion of the back that doesn't lock the joint in or doesn't pull you out completely from the center of your heart. So it is the point of the joint rotating inside of the socket without pushing you back or without getting you so much forward in the rotation that disconnects you from the center of the spine. Yeah, so that's the reason. That is the most difficult part of the spiral.
So, Christy, I have a question.
Yes.
Because when the second one, when we go to horizon and we come up and around,
yes,
then we're not really going back to horizon again, are we? I mean, you seem to go kind of in the middle of it, or not really going straight to horizon each time.
I think that what happened, it is a distortion. That's the reason that the medium is a little bit complex. Because it seems like a little bit higher, right? But right, that will be horizon, horizon. And then once I pass through horizon, the releasing of horizon immediately will get me into the spiral of the shoulders. So once
you're not coming to horizon each time, are you?
No.
I didn't think so. So can you do it for me a couple of times?
Yeah. So from horizon, right, which is the passing through of everything, right? The tree of life, the connection to your leg, everything, 0 points, horizon. And then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm getting higher than horizon. I'm getting almost to the connection between the throat and my jaw in that part of it. So when you're going into 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Ellen is doing it. Okay. Come back. That's good. That was a fantastic. Okay. Ellen, what happens is that you're thinking that once you start the spiral, right, of the shoulder, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to do the other side of the spiral, right? From the pelvic floor. 1 and through the arm. 2, 3, 4. And look where it was arriving to a place almost in between the suspended diamond and in between the throat. The throat will be here, and that will become again they're going back. I don't go back to horizon each time. So that was the question that right there. That was the question that you were asking me, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1, 4, very bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah, we're getting it. We're getting it. Now, the wave is a little bit confused. The second part of the wave, Meripat, once you do the back part of the spiral, and now the wave, even though you follow the wave up, keep the right and the left in the wave, so it arrives to the place almost like a suspended diamond, but look at the size of the suspended. This will be central crown, right? This will be the suspended diamond that arrived from the wave of the shoulder. The wave of the shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So then it's a diamond that is not central crown. It's a diamond, but it's not horizon. So it's the natural ascension of the entire vertebrae of your spine, synchronizing with your arms, arriving to as a wave to the crown to take you back into the spiral of the shoulders. Right there. Yes? Wonderful. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wonderful. It's okay. Good. It's beautiful. 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Aaron, it's wonderful. But now you have to be careful that you don't throw the wave.
Okay.
Don't throw the wave. The wave is the natural continuity of the union between your spine and your arms. So then when you go from the back around to go to the front again, up and forward, it is a connection of the wave of your arm that is going to take you into the continuation of that circle. Yes, right there. Wonderful. Okay. Let me see where you are. Yeah, let me see. It's okay for a second. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, it's clear that much better. Elena, I'm asking you, is that clear?
Yes, it's good.
Much better, right?
Yeah.
We don't know if it is much better until you practice, but
Oh, no, I understand that I need to be more fluid with my understanding, and that the last part of
the
the
spiral.
arms is connected to the next movement, and so I'm not, like you said, throwing it. So
Yeah.
it's to the top of my head and to the bottom of my feet, and so everything connected. So
Yeah, the most important part of the connection is that it's a moment in which your throat becomes completely part of the movement. So it's not just the shoulder girdle follow the wave of the neck and the head, but it's just that the wave of the arm connects you to the throat, and it doesn't get you all the way to the center of the head. Almost there to the center of the head. Right here will be the center of the head. Right here will be central crown. Yeah. The plane of the center of the head is at this place in the celebration, the plane of the celebration. But it's a little bit different right there. Yeah. Right there, and that will be the beginning of the wave going back. Yeah, Nancy. Yeah. Once you get to that point, and then you start going back again. Yeah, right there, and now go back again. Go there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wonderful. Perfect. You have to be careful. You have to be careful when you get to the end of the wave of the shoulders, that you are not here.
Yeah.
That you are connected with the totality of the entire connection of the throat, head, and crown in order to be able to get you to the back part of it. Let me see, Carolina. Let me see where you from that. Wonderful. That will have the shoulder, right? 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, just to keep doing it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's good. I don't know. I think it's perfect, Carolina, but I wanted to make it something. I don't know if it is because of the innocent difficulty of the camera to connect you to it, but I have to really show you something because I'm not sure. I just need to show you what it will be. Let me see. Go back. a little bit. So I wanted
How
to.
about, is this a better angle?
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know if you can see me from that angle, but once you get to when you start going back, okay, going back around from right here, right? When you get to right here, you have to be careful that when you start going the back part of your shoulders, it is through the spine as well that it's going to take you. And I'm not sure that because what happened now is when you go back, your shoulders wanted to take you forward, but without incorporating all the vertebrae of the thoracic vertebra, taking you back into the beginning of the spiral. So once you start going back now, right there, you have to incorporate all the thoracic vertebra, all of them right there. And the back part of the circle. Yes, right there. Yeah, do you know what I mean a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Beautiful. So that's what I didn't know if that was clear. Another detail that is going to help you enormously. When you go to the back, you cannot see. Shoot, I'm going too far away, too close. Let me see. Once you start going back, right here for now, and I create a spiral. When I start going back, I create a spiral from the pelvic floor through the entire vertebrae. And when I get to complete the spiral as I'm going up, it connects through the thoracic, it connects through the back of the neck, and it connects through the back of the head as well. So the whole extension is taking you through the whole vertebra of the spine when you're going through the spiral. So you're doing good, but wonderful. Yeah. And it's perfect, but it's a moment that your neck wants to stay in relation to front and back, and the neck is not unfolding to right and left and front and back through the totality of the connection of the back of the neck. So that's where it needs to be reestablished for sure. 3 and 4. Better. I think it's better. Do you know what I mean a little bit?
No, I'm not clear.
You're
I'm
not-
not clear what you mean.
Okay, that once you start the spiral, right? When the spiral going back, and then from this, the 3 and 4, you start the second part of the spiral. 1, 2. There is a moment in the 3 and the 4 that the neck, the thoracic, the back of your neck, and your head, they are all connecting up to get you to the end of the spiral. And what's happening right now, that is great, but it's a moment that the neck wants to stay here and your arms wants to go forward. So I need you to connect through the totality of all of the vertebrae when you unfold in the spiral. So let me see what you want. Right there, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's good. It's good. How is that?
I don't really, I think that I know what you're talking about. It's just passing through the centers and go out crown rather than. Yeah.
Exactly. So not getting into it. And then I know that when you do it standing, it's a little bit difficult, but because it's very difficult to sense the entire pelvis. But when you do it seated, it's wonderful because when you complete the first part of the spiral, the second part of the spiral that's going to take you up come from the pelvic floor and all the way through. So you can find that motion from the pelvic floor, and that will help you right there from the pelvic floor up. It becomes like a chain reaction of your entire vertebrae. Beautiful. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good. I think you're getting that feeling. Ellen, how is it coming from? Do it in the chair for a moment, Ellen. Do it in the chair and show me what is the moment that you're connecting to the pelvic floor. Say now, if you can, in the spiral, when you come back from the spiral. Going back, right? From horizon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's the moment.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah?
Right, actually, it's like right there.
right there. And that's the moment that you have to connect to your legs and the pelvic floor, because otherwise you push in with the sacrum, and then you are outside of the central rotation of your shoulders. Right there, exactly. Yeah. Let me see, Nancy, where you are when you're going back now. 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. It's good. It's good. It's good. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. How is Mary Pan going from the span? 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're getting there. You're getting there. Can you sense what you're searching? What is the moment? What is the point in the back of spiral that the movement connect to the pelvic floor? Right there, right? And now the wave of the spine is going to synchronize with the wave of your arms. Because now, okay, in that moment, the wave of the arms and the spine have to go. Exactly. Okay. You're getting to it. You're getting to it. Just exactly. Let's wait for, take a second, and then we'll do it again. Let me explain what's happening. Once you get to the back of spiral of the shoulder, right? Going back. Once you get to the back shoulder of the spiral, right? From horizon. 1, 2, 3, 4. In this moment, I'm going to start from the pelvic floor. I'm not going to start from the sacrum. I'm going to start from the pelvic floor. And the pelvic floor, unfold the wave of my arms. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's an entire wave gets you to the crown. And the wave, the second spiral is going to take you from the crown to all the center back into the shoulder back. And then the circle of the shoulder is going to take you through the entire vertebra all the way to the crown. So even though you're practicing the release, the circle of your shoulders, you're practicing the connections of all the vertebrae from the pelvic floor to the crown and from the crown to the pelvic floor. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, just take a second. Otherwise, I'm going to show you what I'm going to show you what happens if I don't connect to the pelvic floor. Yeah, so then you can see what's happening. So if I'm going to horizon, right, and then I create the spiral going back. And now, instead of connecting to the pelvic floor as the beginning of the wave on my arm, if I connect just with my arms, the spine is going to press forward, and the pressing forward of the spine is going to give me the wave on my arms. So I say it again so you can understand it. It's in the video. If you when you complete the spiral, if you are not connecting to the beginning of the pelvic floor, you're going to create forward pressure with the vertebrae in order to sense the wave of your arms. And the wave of your arms is going to be a reaction, a reflex.
Yeah, I can feel the difference.
I'm
For
sorry?
sure. I can really feel the difference.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, very, very important. Very important. Because what ensures that you can go through all the different directions in your shoulders is the connection through the pelvic floor, through the centers. Otherwise, the shoulders just grind. The shoulders grind inside of its, in this whole movement. In the shoulder grinds inside of the peripheral movement of the joint. You don't want it to grind the shoulders. And you want always the space of the shoulders in your heart to be the continuation of the movement. Always, always, always right there. Yeah, wonderful. Let's rest for a second and we'll do it together. How was that? That was clear?
Yeah.
This is a detail that it sounds like a detail, but it's extraordinarily important because you remember all the time that you're synchronizing the natural wave inside of the vertebrae of the spine with all the curvatures, thoracic, cervical, and lumbar, with the 7 centers. Now, they are the same thing. The 7 centers, they are the same thing as the synchronizing or moving through the vertebrae of the spine, right? You're clear with that. Now, you're synchronizing the moving through the centers of the vertebrae of the spine with the waves of the arms corresponding to each vertebra and fall to the ground and returning back. So you're synchronizing that movement in relation to the motions of the vertebrae, not just in relation to your mind doing the circles. Yeah? Because if your mind doing the circles, the spine becomes like a wall from which you're sensing the wave. Going from the pelvic floor to the crown, the arms are the natural wave. They correspond to the natural wave of your spine. So you're uniting the wave of your arms with the waves of your spine. Yeah, this is very important. Beautiful, fantastic, fantastic. Nancy, you're doing absolutely fantastic. Remember now that in this motion, what you are developing is the wave of your upper spine from the pelvic floor to your throat. So there will be a moment right here when you start unfolding the arms to go to the second part of the spiral, of the last part of the spiral, that the wave of the arm taking you up is actually the breastbone, the throat, the head, and the crown. So in that time, in that sense, sacrifice the sensation of your arms momentarily for the certainty that you're moving through the vertebrae to taking you up into crown in that connection. So you're sacrificing a little bit exactly. And now, Carolina, you're going back. Okay, you're good. You're good. All right. Are we clear with that? That's clear. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. So then, all that we're learning through these motions is that you are not, there's not a part of you that is still at the same time that the motion is happening. There is always the you as being the continuation of the motion going all the way from ground and all the way to the pelvic floor. That is the you. So your mind doesn't stay stationary through the motions. Yeah. And
That's
then,
a very, very important underlying statement.
that's it. That's
And
it.
that's true with all of life, really.
Yeah, but all the movement, entire practice, that's what you learn.
With all of life, you know, if we're moving with it instead of observing it, it's completely different.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that let me see.
Important because when we talk about like kind of isolations, you know, where you're talking about the movement of the shoulders or the movement
Yes,
of the hands or whatever, to really make sure that we talk about that connection, that it doesn't happen by itself, but it's happening through the spine.
exactly. Because
I'm constantly reconnecting with the right and the left in it rather than just going up and down, you know. So
yeah, which will be reconnecting equally in the right and the left and the front and the back.
yeah.
So what you say, what you just said, connecting constantly between the right and the left, right? You just say that. But also, once the wave becomes synchronized to the spine, you are connecting always right and left and front and back in every single frame. And therefore, you are connecting between above and below. Yeah? The four directions, right and left, front and back, and above and below. Every single frame is the continuation of that particular connection. And they're all related to the vertebrae of the spinal column, which is the same as saying related to the seven centers. Yeah? Because in the totality of the seven centers, the spine is behind the seven centers most of the time. You know what I mean? Let me see. Should I need to give you a graphic?
So
you understand?
spine. So I always equated the seven centers with the spine.
Yes, but it's important something. Okay.
There he goes. And yes,
Uh-oh.
I have the air conditioning right above me. That's why I'm always freezing here.
I know, you're gonna need to shut that thing.
I think it's the only one in the house that's directly over my head.
Yeah, I need to put something on that.
Yeah,
They
can
have those
Link it over or something.
I usually wear one of the a scarf around me.
now.
Yeah, here it is.
But they can put a cover over the vent itself.
We have to erase the mystery. Everything that we're doing is to erase a mystery that may exist within the mind, and we don't know that exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that we're doing is a mystery that exists within the mind, and we don't know that it exists. So Ellen,
I gotta watch.
so what you're really saying, I'm sorry, Larry?
I gotta watch very
I
closely.
think that's, you know,
No. It's just the visual part is very
that
important.
statement you just said is important, though.
Yes,
You could get somebody's attention, anybody, when you say that.
yeah,
Say it again.
yeah. We are resolving all the mysteries of the mind
Yeah,
that we don't know that we are, that exist within the mind.
yeah.
So then every time we resolve it, the mysteries, everything becomes knowledgeable then, because you understand what's going on. You know what I mean? So let me see. The problem is, okay, this is the center. This is the center of the seven centers, right? Let me see, where are we? This is the line of the seven centers, right?
Yeah.
Right here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
the
So
center of the space.
it's really
right?
independent. It's really independent of the spine, then.
The
But-
seven
But
centers.
but really, that's the only way that I can connect.
Remember that I said to you, exactly. Okay, remember that this is fantastic. This is fantastic. Okay, let's regroup again, then for the mind not to jump into places. What we're saying, remember that the last class, the last session, I told you that we cannot sense the wave of the spine without the seven centers. Yeah, because if we're trying to sense the wave of the spine, just as the wave of the spine, you create compression. You're using compression to be able to sense the wave instead of expansion. So it becomes like a chain reaction, yeah, and for the wave like a chain reaction. So the centers is in reality the seven centers and the totality of the motion of the spine are one and the same thing. But in relation to the seven centers, which is the central line or center of space, right? That's the self here, right? The center of space right here of that line. That central line here implies that the spine is behind that line most of the time. It's not in the central line.
Right.
So that makes it's important. So that's the reason that when we go through the spiral of the shoulders, for example, I say to you, when you start getting into the back, you have to go from the pelvic floor and end through the vertebrae to be able to raise to crown when you get to the last part of the spiral. But in reality, what I will be able to tell you as well, you have to go from pelvic floor, pelvis, solar plexus, chest, throat, head, crown. So you're going through the space of the seven centers, but the space of the seven centers and the union of all of the vertebrae of the spine moving through themselves are one and the same thing. You cannot get through the center of to the vertebrae of the spine without the center of the space. You cannot get to the center of the space without the vertebrae of the spine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I understand. I think.
okay.
I think
So
that. I mean, yeah. I think my consciousness understands all of that and works that way. I just never really knew it.
exactly. So now we understand.
Aren't you actually saying that you have to go through the seven centers? And
Yeah.
if you go through the seven centers, you connect with the spine also.
Because that's
Exactly.
Is that what you're just saying?
understanding. So
Yes.
that's the larger understanding.
Yes.
The expansion
Yeah.
happening at the same time.
But I'm saying something larger as well. It's perfect. What Nancy said, and once you go through the seven centers, pelvic floor, pelvis, solar plexus, chest, throat, head, crown, head, throat, chest, solar plexus, pelvic floor. Remember the practice when we go through the waves and go up and down, forever and ever and ever, to become acquainted with those centers. Once you become acquainted with those centers, we already did, is that you become acquainted that those centers are the possibility for us to be able to start sensing through the centers all the vertebrae of the spine moving continuously in a form of wave. And nothing is compressional. Yeah. So then what happens is that the 7 centers is the possibility of start allowing any single human being the possibility of having an idea that the center of a space exists.
Right.
Nobody in the world will say, what are you talking? The center, what is the center of a space? Yeah. The center of a space is the natural phenomenon that is called the gravitational field that embraces the center of the planet Earth. Is the given, it's the center of the sphere of life. So the 7 centers, the center of the sphere of life, is the only possibility for us to unwind the vertebrae. You can go forever into unwinding them, but then you will not get to the suspension of each of the vertebrae. You will get to release them momentarily, but you got to do it tomorrow again. You have to do it again and again and again, because the mind is not connected to the natural suspension of each of the vertebrae through the natural design of 3 dimensions. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. So then, let me see
But what you're saying is the natural design is carried though in the wave.
without the comprehension of the 7 centers and the experience of the union of the 7 centers, all you have is weight. Which is, I shouldn't say that either, because life is weightless as well. So it's not that, but mostly the predominant analogy of balance in the mind, in our evolutionary mind, has been that you are subject to weight. Yes, that's it. That's what produces all the pain, produces all the complexities and everything, because we don't have a comprehension that the center of weight cannot exist without the center of expansion. Yeah, that's the reason we said gravity expansion and the center movement of the center moment of the natural moment of life. That's it. We said usually gravity expansion, and the center movement of life, but that's complex. So you can say gravity expansion and the natural moment of life. That is the
which is carried by the 7 centers.
It is the existence of the 7 centers.
It is, so it's the wave of so that's the phenomenon also. I mean,
it's a phenomenal, but it's not a phenomenal, it's the existence. Remember, I mean, we call it phenomenal because it is the mind is not acquainted with the 7 chakras that the yogis have taught forever and ever and ever and ever are. They are a mystery, because how do you get to the 7 chakras if you don't get to understand the energy flow that correspond to the 7 chakras?
yeah.
In the past, the energy flow that correspond to the 7 chakras was analyze it and express it as developmental forms of awareness within the human self. In the past, the yogis that spent years and years in the mountains, that particular interpretation of opening and connection within the 7 chakras was interpreted as a particular developmental expression of the human self in relation to his consciousness. Remember higher consciousness, blah, blah, blah. Remember all that. All that, it was a good information, but it was meaningless because it was always a mystery. What is it? You can hear it, you can talk about it, and so forth. We didn't know until the new consciousness that the 7 chakras are simultaneous with life itself. So the 7 chakras are the natural experience of life. Really, and not the development of the human self. It is the given, is the given. And when you understand that the 7 chakras is your given, you have access to them instantaneously, because you can say, okay, this is what it is. This is the center. This is what, you immediately have contact with it. But if you keep it inside of the mystery, it becomes a specialization of consciousness, and it becomes a form of weirdness, being weird. Because nobody can understand what that means completely. Even the people who spend years and years and years in the mountain, the 7 chakras. So anyway, returning to the reality, the center of space is the spine is mostly in certain places touches the center of the space. Right here in this vertebra, and then the places they touch the closest approximation to the center of the space will be in the solar plexus. The solar plexus be the 10 thoracic vertebra. Closest approximation of the center of the space will be actually at the center of the shoulders, of course, right here. It will be where the thoracic vertebra becomes the cervical, yeah? And then the perfect connection to the center of the space is when the atlas, which is the completion of all the vertebrae, interconnect via the brain to the entire field of awareness, which is the mind. Yes,
So if that's sometimes I guess in the yoga idea is that they correct that curve, right, to match the center of space. So it's not giving you it's not giving you the natural curve of the spine. Then you have to be able to have the natural curve of the spine.
Well, because that would be the only way. If you lift things, you use all the vertebrae were created to give us a strength.
Yeah.
And the only way to have a strength, if the vertebrae are becoming like a slinky, in which everything is continuously connected, is in a slinky. Otherwise, you only have front and back to create weight, to lift weight, right? And if you only have front and back to create weight, eventually you're going to have an herniated disc, or the joints of the hips are going to go, or the shoulders are going to go, or something is going to happen, because the whole design of the spine was to allow us to really omnidirectionally connect to a strength, natural strength, which is the sphere itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then, anyway, that's what, when you see this graphic now, spend time a little bit with that, and recognize that the 7 centers are essential for the release of the spine, because the 7 centers is the center of a space from which you can allow the vertebrae to have dimension. Mm-hmm. Without the center of a space, we don't have dimensions in the vertebra. We only have front and back. Mm-hmm. We don't have right and left, even though we think that we have right and left, but the right and left gets occupied mostly by the front and back. And then when the front and the back take over the right and the left, then the floor becomes the only possibility of expansion. When in reality, the floor is the crown already. And in reality, the floor is the crown. Only in our human interpretation of the physical body, the floor is the grounding mechanism. We don't have a comprehension of the unity between the natural reflex of the floor and the natural reflex of the crown. Yeah, so that's the reason that we understand that what I call the crown, what I call the floor. Remember, in the consciousness, foundation paradise is the center of the planet Earth, which is the sensation of life, physical life, the center of the planet Earth. But the center of the planet Earth is actually the center of all celestial existence. It's what we call paradise. But in the reality itself, paradise, the center of the planet Earth, the center of the sun, the center of everything, is actually the crown. It's not that around there and then the crown is here. It's all one. So we are comprehending the nature of oneness, and the mind begins to, I see, I'm grounded because I'm fully expanded, not because I'm grounded because I'm totally going down. Mm-hmm. So then when the mind comprehends that, there is nothing that the mind loves more than feel weightless. Anybody who takes drugs, anybody who drinks alcohol, anybody who has anything called drugs, it gives them the instantaneous possibility of feeling weightless. That is what people innocently become addicted, because you want that feeling, because weight is nothing other than a bounding of the brain into the form of depression. Otherwise, you're grounded. There's no way you can get out. The only possibility of being grounded is go to church Sunday and momentarily do something to release you. Yeah. So anyway, that's what's happening. This is one last thing that I wanted to say is that the 7 centers in the release of the spine, the 7 centers being the center of a space that move from the pelvic floor to the crown and to the crown to the pelvic floor, is called gravitational expansion. It's the 10th principle of unity and motion. Remember, the last principle of unity and motion is called gravitational expansion. And we could say gravitational expansion centralized by the moment of life. Forget it, it's too much. But gravitational expansion means that every single moment, from the moment that you are in 0 point, from the moment that you practice, every single connection and everything, the continuity of the movement is always, always, always taking you frame by frame into the crown, and from the crown to the pelvic floor. So all the movements are constantly doing that, crown to pelvic, and there's a middle in between, of course, which is the pure vertical, right? The middle. But sometimes we don't touch it. We want to stop there. It's a transient place, to the pelvic floor, into the crown, the pelvic floor, into the crown. And the angles in which you are moving in space, your arms are moving in space, are facilitating not only the awareness of the 7 centers, but the interrelationship of unity between the 7 centers. And that interrelationship of unity between the 7 centers is what is called gravitational expansion. It's the 10th principle that is happening every moment. What you're learning is that the center of awareness of your being is always moving up and down, and the center of awareness at each point within the 7 centers is the centralization of the sphere itself. So when I'm in foundation, the sphere is centralized in the pelvic floor, even though all the 7 centers are present in expanded form. As I'm raising into the delicate heart, I'm still a little bit in the inner arc, a little bit, but the sphere is centralized at the center of my solar plexus. When I start going to infinity's gate and I'm raising the energy, the sphere is centralizing vertebra by vertebra, moving through the 7 centers to the point that it becomes touches the center of my chest, love, and it connects all the way up to infinity. So now the center of gravity in infinity is the highest center of gravity that I have, because I can't go. If I go higher than that, I will have to go to heaven, right? But in infinity, suspended central crown, infinity, and the sphere of heaven are the largest places, or the farthest places that my spine can open without creating compression. It's the full opening of an entire spinal column, which will be the same as saying the entire release of my mind, because the spinal column is my mind. So anyway, and then from then on, that's the reason that we start getting to gravitational expansion, to get to riding the way to expansion, and then to expansion, mandala crown, and then the mandala crown to a sphere of earth, and so forth. Each of those points are the connection of ourself to the moving center of gravity that allow us to constantly experience that we are centralized by the sphere of life. Always, always, yeah. I don't know. It's a lot what I'm telling you, but it's not. The problem is that unity in motion doesn't begin from the bottom up. Unity in motion was given from the top down. You know what I mean? It didn't evolve from the ground. It did because, you know, my perception is that you are, you know, you have to use the ground, and the dancer, you have to use your foundation. But the reality itself is that the moment of life, the atomic moment of life, is always crown. It's always the renewal of everything. And then if you put it linearly, you can say, you know, then you have the ground, right? But no, the entire reality is that the constant renewal of life is crown, because it's the whole everything. But the constant renewal of crown is also the constant grounding of the physical form. Without the constant grounding of physical form, forget it, no crown. Without ground, no grounding. But the reason that the fountain of life is called a fountain of life, because within every instant of life, the entire fountain is renewing. And in the renewal is renewing our physical sensation of what ground means. Because in reality, ground is everything, as well as ground. Okay, so I hope I'm not confusing you. There's a lot of stuff that I'm telling you, but I'm constantly in love with the possibility of being able to erase of every single mystery within the mind, so the mind comprehend the nature of its unity. Because every time that you comprehend more the nature of your unity, it's fantastic, because the mind is at your service instead of you being to the service of the mind. Yeah, that's what they give it. So anyway, I'm sorry, it's 1:30. There was a lot that I never know what the class is going to be. I didn't know that it was going to be this, but the whole thing started in some way. It started with the analogy of what was it that brought us into here? What, I don't even remember what.
Well, we were working with the spirals, right?
Yeah. We're working with the spiral, but it started before. But anyway, working
The
with the
comprehension of continuity.
yeah, started with the idea of continuity, and that the movements are constant, that we are beginning to experience the natural continuity of our sense of wholeness.
Yeah.
And that is a sensation. It's a natural sensation of energy. It's not hocus. It's not phenomenal in the sense that it's unknown. It's a natural thing. The sensation of wholeness within your being is the most divine thing and the most natural thing, because that what it was given to you in the design called human forever. Yeah, and then it became complex, but now it becomes simple again. So we went into that one. And then the reason that it took us to that, because we did have it in the spiral of the shoulders. There is a moment in the you complete the first count of the spirals. The beginning of the spiral going up begins on the pelvic floor, and then the wave of your arms taking you through the arms to back into the completion of that spiral at the level of the throat, right there, is really actually traveling through the 7 centers. And then when you start the spiral again, you're going to go to crown, to the head, to the throat, to the shoulders. And all that spiral of your shoulders going through it is actually the delineation of the 7 centers, taking you down and up and down and up and down and up continuously, until the moment that your mind merges with that and understand that by going up and down and synchronizing yourself with the energy, the space, and the form, is actually your synchronicity with the sphere of life, 3 dimensions, the sphere of life, in which the center of space is the center of your being. Okay, so that's where we entered in it. We went into it, and it got complex in between, because remember that we were talking about the nature of intellect. Yes, the divine intellect is nothing other than the comprehension of one's natural unity. Period. That's it. And you can spend one moment by saying, yes, here we are, or you can spend thousands of years trying to figure out what that is. But even that is not necessary, because now we are in the fields of unity. You are inside of everything. So anyway, I love you. Have a fantastic time. We did a lot of work, but I don't know. You tell me, or whatever. Write me. Thank you for helping us all. You know, we are doing it together. Every time that we are releasing a mystery of the mind, somebody in the planet, or many people, thousands of people in the planet, are becoming more open, because the brain is one. It's not like many brains. It's only one mind that it was occupied with a brain that it was like, and now that brain is returning to the unity.
So, Christian, so one more thing, because I always get the sense that the center, being that the solar plexus, is the expansion in all directions, correct?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
so even though the crown and foundation are our connection to heaven and earth, that three-dimensional sense of ourselves is from ourself. I mean, right? I mean, it's from the center.
Yeah, but the center, remember that the center of yourself, just one moment, the center of yourself, the self, who you are, is love, which is the natural sensation of life. The center of yourself is the natural moment of creation, which is right here. The center of yourself is the mind, the intellect that knows all things. The center of yourself on the other side is the physical formation of the moment and foundation. So the center, the self, have 7 natural attributes that is the natural existence of the self. They are not added or taken. They are. And those attributes, they're all coming with the territory. They are already, that's who you are. You are totally understanding of nature. You are natural. You are the self, because the center of life. You are love, because that's a sensation of life. And that's what the self is made of, love. You are the natural moment of life, because the self and love and all that only exists because of the physical moment now. And then you are the center of consciousness, because consciousness, understand itself, is the only possibility of understanding wholeness. You will never be able to understand wholeness without consciousness, right?
Yeah.
You can say forever, I'm whole, I'm whole, I'm whole, I'm whole. Doesn't mean anything, because if you don't understand it, wholeness, it doesn't have a meaning. Yeah, so wholeness does have a meaning. Okay, I love you, have fun. I'm saying goodbye. I apologize sometimes because I think I'm giving all that. But anyway, we're doing fantastic. I love you. I get to see you next Tuesday.
Answered all our questions. That's
Thank you very much. And then next Tuesday, I get to see you, and then we'll get together next Monday from there, which will be our celebration of Mary Paz's book, our celebration of the Thanksgiving, our celebration of the New World, and our celebration of ourselves. So we are going to spend the time to whatever happens at that time celebrating. I love you. Ciao, ciao. Okay. Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.